What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so this is how I'm going to start this. This is what you get for being an evil scumbag. Check this out, y'all. Check this out. This is great. I love this. I'm loving this timeline, y'all. Hegseth cutting Milley's security detail, eyes stripping him of star, because he's I think a 4-star general, stripping him of a star. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad for him, for his reputation. And, as it should be for General Milley, a treasonous son of a gun. There, check this out. You gotta love. I love this timeline, y'all. Pete Hegseth is gonna do good. Just from this, just right from the jump, he's just started, and already I'm loving this. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is set to announce the immediate rescission of the personal security detail and security clearance for the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, retired Army General Mark Milley, several news outlets report. The Trump administration is also aiming to get Milley demoted in retirement. Hegseth is expected to direct the Pentagon's new acting inspector general to conduct a review board to see if enough evidence exists for the 4-star general to be stripped of a star based on his actions to undermine the chain of command during President Trump's first term, multiple senior administration officials told Fox News, which first reported on the plan. You got to love Pete Hegseth at this point. This is great. We all know what General Milley admitted to. He got railed again. He got, as a matter of fact, excoriated by Republicans in a Senate confirmation, Senate, I forget the name of the hearing right off. It was years ago, so forgive me on that one, y'all. But he got absolutely just burned alive by Republicans on this. As a matter of fact, that's treason. What he did could be considered treason. Just outright. Let's keep going. So he deserves all of this, by the way. Additionally, a second portrait of Milley inside the Pentagon will be removed as soon as Tuesday night. That portrait sits in the Army's Marshall Corridor on the 3rd floor of the honors Milley's service as a former Chief of Staff of the Army. The first portrait of him, which was removed just hours after President Trump was sworn in his second term on January 20th, depicted his time as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Taking down both Milley portraits means there will be no more imagery of him inside the Pentagon. You think? I mean, really? Like, who cares? It's Mark Milley, the same guy who got in front of the House committee hearing. I forget the committee hearing. I don't know if it was Judiciary or Armed Services, but said, yes, I want to know about white rage. I want to know why these people are woke.
And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that, because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx.
Blah, 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 blah. Just making ridiculous statements, making themselves look like idiots, right? Because they are pushing this woke nonsense in the Army, this woke propaganda, this woke ideology, all this nonsense into the Army of all places, right? These people are supposed to be more worried about lethality, right? Fighting a war, winning a war, conducting a war. Doing everything to secure this nation, essentially. And you're more worried about white rage, whatever the hell that is, right? That was I forget her name, something D'Angelo, wrote this book, White Rage. It's ridiculous. And he's more worried about that and more worried about pushing woke ideology and these drag queen story hour garbage and parades for drag queens and all this other nonsense going on in the Army, pushing this woke ideology crap, than he is about lethality, war fighting, trying to figure out where billions, hundreds of billions of dollars go that we just lose, that the Army outright loses, right? Every single audit of the Pentagon they fail every single audit for like the past, I don't know how many years. It's been a lot, but they fail these. So they're more worried about nonsense than they are about where their money goes. Right? Like, and this is not accounting for black budgets or anything like that. They absolutely don't know where this money goes. It's unaccounted for, put it that way. That it's not going to a black budget. They didn't just lose this stuff. It went somewhere, right? And they just don't know. They have no idea. It's great, y'all. What Pete Hegseth is going to be doing to the Army is great. Defense Department officials declined to comment on the potential directives, and the White House did not respond to a request for comment. Trump and Milley have long had an acrimonious relationship, starting in Trump's first term when Milley apologized for accompanying Trump for a photo opportunity at Lafayette Square near the White House in 2020 during racial justice unrest in the nation's capital. Now, that was something I was wanting to bring up earlier, but I knew it was in this story, so I didn't. Why should this guy, a general, the Joint Chief of Staff, why should he have to apologize for accompanying the Commander-in-Chief of all people? Why would you have to apologize? But he did. Why? Apologize for what? Like this guy, it's just absurd what's going on in our military these days, right? We've got all these programs, we've got all these dollars going all over these places, and they're losing all this money, and we've got all this woke ideology and this Biden administration nonsense that they've been pushing, like changing all these fort names. You know how much money that costs? You would think, oh, well, hang on, they're just changing the name of the fort. No, but they've got to change every sign in whatever fort, right? And I'm having to deal with it, not really having to deal with it, but somewhat having to deal with it, because we do glass, we do most of the work up at Fort Polk, which is, the name's been changed to something else, but I'm not going to state it because it's been Fort Polk for forever, right? And they're changing that name because who it's named after was a Civil War, a Confederate States general. So what? That's our history. He was an honored general of the Confederacy. Who cares? Nobody cares. Why change the name? It costs millions of dollars to do this. It's absurd. All right, but so they're more worried about not pissing off the woke left. They're more worried about that than they are about these hundreds of billions of dollars. They're more worried about apologizing to the left and not pissing them off for escorting the Commander-in-Chief, because these people don't like that person, because they consider him to be Orange Hitler. It's absurd, y'all. But let's keep going. We got a little bit of corporate press manipulation up in here. Check this out, y'all. Later in the final days of Trump's first term, Milley reportedly reassured Chinese officials there would be no threat to China without Trump's knowledge, amid fears of instability within the White House. Oh yeah, y'all remember this. This was what I was discussing earlier with the chain of command issues, and exactly why he's getting a star stripped from him in his retirement, and he's getting his security clearance and security details stripped from him because he's a scumbag. Well, that's one reason. But because he went outside the chain of command, called his counterpart in China, and said, oh, we'll let you know if we're going to strike. Like, hang on, there was no plans to attack China. Donald Trump was not threatening to attack China. Where did this come from? Plus, if we're going to attack China, like, that's the one thing you don't do. Like, we're not just going to drop a nuke on Beijing, for crying out loud. Like, it's the United States. We're not just going to openly, just blatantly kill civilians. I know. I understand what you're thinking right now. Well, Obama did. Yes, Obama did, as a matter of fact, and I think he should be criminally investigated for that. Obama killed several U.S. citizens with no due process whatsoever. Just Obama saying, drone strike, cafe in Yemen, a country we were not at war with. Killed a 16-year-old American citizen because his dad was a terrorist. Yep, that's why. That's why he was killed. Because his dad was a terrorist. It's absurd. No due process, none of that. And yes, there was collateral damage. That other civilians were killed. But they don't care about those people, do they? That was Obama. But you go outside the chain of command. There was no threat to China. Why call this guy? It is absurd. But we'll get into the corporate press manipulation. Check this out. The incident infuriated Trump to the point that he posted on Truth Social that Milley was treasonous, suggesting he be executed. We all know, like everybody that's awake, if you will, that knows what's going on with politics, pays attention to the corporate press lies and media manipulations and all that, knows that this is actually false. That Trump did not suggest he be executed. But you see how the corporate press, they have to do it. They have to take something Trump says and make an insinuation and then just twist what he said to fit their narrative. That's what they do, folks. Since then, Trump has often vowed to take revenge against his enemies, naming Milley often as one such foe. Did he? When did he do this? Oh, now they're just making stuff up. But Trump might be hard-pressed to stick Milley with any criminal charges, as the retired general was given a preemptive pardon issued by former President Biden on January 20th, his last day in office. That is right, folks. That was one I didn't cover, as a matter of fact. We got Dr. Fauci, President Biden's family, but General Milley absolutely got a preemptive pardon. Now, I wonder why he would do that. Why would you preemptively pardon somebody? Well, I don't even want to call it a preemptive pardon, because it's essentially, you're just granting immunity for people. Because what is the preemptive pardon for? Because pardons are supposed to be specific. You pardon somebody for a crime that they have committed, right? That's what it's supposed to be for. Somebody committed a crime, went to prison, they get pardoned. If you know, the president or whoever believes the sentence was too harsh, blah blah blah, whatever they feel it was an unjust, which somebody should definitely commute Derek Chauvin's freaking commute his sentence. Derek Chauvin, right? He needs a new trial at minimum, brand new trial. It's absurd, but. Getting back to that, so why preemptively pardon General Milley of all people? Oh, he didn't commit any crimes. If the guy didn't commit any crimes, there is no need to pardon this guy, to grant immunity to somebody. Like, I'm just begging for answers from this. Why? Why? You get nothing from leftist media. You get nothing from Blue Sky, for crying out loud. Try to get answers to these questions, and nobody knows. Nobody knows why whatsoever. If he did nothing wrong, right? Because you can't, in this country, you cannot just say, oh, well, he did this. You have to have due process in this country. There has to be a discovery process, which, by the way, you go through, you find all the evidence of whatever crime it is, and everything has to be transparent, right? The defense gets all the evidence the prosecution has. They go through, get all the evidence, then everybody gets to see it. It becomes public at some point, right? But that process gives all the evidence. If there is no evidence, then a judge is going to look at this prosecution, which any prosecutor worth anything isn't going to bring a charge that's just made up in the first place. Although, you know, thank God for Trump coming in and cleaning out the DOJ, because we did have some that they had to twist the law around to be able to bring charges, which is garbage, against Trump. But, you know, Trump's a different case over here. He's different because it's Orange Hitler over here. But, you know, in this country, you have to have evidence against you to be able to go to court. So they don't. If there is no evidence, there's nothing to worry about. If you have done nothing wrong, that is the basis, the foundation of our sovereignty, our freedom, everything. That is the foundation of our country, right? Because if there is no incentive to be a good, upstanding citizen, that if you do get accused of something, that if you are innocent, that you will be found innocent of those crimes. If there is no incentive, if you can just get railroaded and get thrown in jail, there is no incentive to be a good, upstanding citizen. The foundations of society completely break down. That is why the Fifth Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, these are very, very important. The First Amendment, These are very important to the foundations of this country. Granting immunity flies in the face of all of those amendments. Flies in the face of the foundations of this nation. Granting immunity to somebody who's innocent. It's BS. It's just outright BS. But enough of my ranting. Let's go and see exactly what Trump said. See exactly what Trump said. Now, I will say, once again, to prove my points, I'm not going to go get some far right-wing news source. This is from The Atlantic. That extraordinary sentence would be unthinkable in any other rich democracy. But Donald Trump on his social media network Truth Social wrote that Mark Milley's phone call to reassure China in the aftermath of storming of the Capitol on January 6, 2021 was an act so egregious that in times gone by, the punishment would have been death. That's for treason. And he is right. He is totally right. But that, like he said, in times gone by, the punishment for treason is death. That is not a suggestion of what we should do. That is just saying that that's an egregious act. That's a treasonous act. You can go to jail for life for treason in this country. It used to be, and probably still is, punishable by death. That is not to say that Mark Milley should be punished in such a way. That is not saying that at all. Right? He was just pissed about it. It's a post on social media. But you see what the corporate press does. They say, oh, he suggested that he be put to death. That's not a suggestion. I'm sorry. You are twisting the narrative. You are twisting the facts. He was suggesting that the punishment for treason in times gone by was death. Like, come on, let's be factual if we're going to be factual. Right? You can take whatever insinuation that you want. But, once again, he is not saying, he's not telling anybody to investigate this guy. He's just pissed off about it, and he's ranting about it. But you love how the corporate press, they just take it and run with that narrative, don't they? Let's keep going. I got a couple of more paragraphs. Milley, who in public and private has reportedly called Trump unintelligent and a fascist to the core. He has been assigned personal security details since 2020 when Iran vowed revenge for the Trump-ordered drone strike killing of the Iranian military officer Qasem Soleimani. Yeah, we all know about that. The removal of Milley's security detail follows Trump's decision last week to also end protective security detail for his former national security advisor John Bolton, former Security Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and his one-time deputy Brian Hook. Yes, I don't know Brian Hook, and I don't know about Mike Pompeo, but John Bolton is a scumbag, right? This guy is just a warmonger. I don't think he needs a security detail either. And if Trump took their security details away, so be it. Milley served as Joint Chiefs Chairman from 2019 to 2023 under both Trump and Biden, and Army Chief of Staff from 2015 to 2019 under President Obama and Donald Trump. So, that is all to that story, y'all. But look, I'm loving Pete Hegseth at this point. He is going in, he's cleaning the corruption, he's getting the woke nonsense out of the Army. They're going to get back to lethality, to war fighting, to get rid of this woke nonsense, and I'm loving it. I am here for it. But I'm almost at 20 minutes, so I've been trying to keep my videos shorter, and it's hard, y'all, because I just want to keep on ranting and running my mouth about all these things, but I can't. I'm sorry. I just can't. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace, y'all.